Hello, this is Ben Falk for KillerSites.com. In the next few videos, I'm going to be adding to the PHP shopping cart series, answering a commonly asked question: how would one use mysql rather than XML to store product data? To do this, we'll be using a MySQL database, PHP, and MySQLi. These next 2 or 3 videos do expect that you've worked your way through the PHP shopping cart series and have a pretty good understanding of the code that's being used up to this point. So make sure you watch those if you haven't already. I'm not going to be discussing the existing code so much as simply demonstrating how to change the code so you are requesting product data from a database rather than from an XML file. Fortunately, because of the way the shopping cart is written, we shouldn't need to touch any of the core shopping cart functionality. We just need to adjust a few of the functions. I'm going to be covering just enough to get you started, so feel free to email me or post a question on the Killer Sites forums if you run into trouble or if you need help extending what I'm going to be showing you today. I'm working with the files pulled directly from the Killer Sites University, so if you log in and go down to the PHP section and select the PHP shopping cart with PayPal, I'm working from the files here, PHP shopping cart project files. So that's the exact files I'm using, and this is where we'll be starting today. So let me go ahead and open it up. I have unzipped the zip file that I downloaded, and I placed it within my htdocs folder so my server can access the files. And the first thing we want to do is we're going to want to actually build out the database. So I'm going to go and open up phpMyAdmin. And obviously I have MAMP running, which is my web server. So I've created a database that I've called KS-shopping cart. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new table in here. I'm going to name it products, and I'm going to give it 5 fields. And I suppose I should show you while I'm at it here. Basically, I am just recreating the XML file in the database. So let me go ahead and open this with Smoltron here. And what you'll notice is that I'm simply copying over the fields. So for example, this is going to be an ID field. There we go. A title field, description, image, and price. And with just a couple changes, ID is going to be fine. Varchar, I'm going to put it at 100 just in case they're extra long IDs for any reason. Title, same thing, I'll leave it at 100. Description, I'm going to change to a text type. Image, this could be a long URL, so potentially I'm going to just change it to 150. And for price, I'm going to change that to a double. So that should be enough. It's fine. Let's go ahead and hit save. Okay, so we've gone ahead, we have all of our fields in place, and the next step would be to populate this database with our data. And just to save myself a little bit of time, I've created an SQL file, which I'll give you a glance at. Here you go. And this will automate the process of inputting that data. I'm using the exact same data. If I expand this a little bit. Here we go. I'm using the exact same data from the XML file. So let me go ahead and close it. And I'm going to go import. Excuse me, I need to select the file. And I've made this file available. If you go to the Killer Sites University, isn't in place just yet. Let me cancel this and actually go there. Isn't in place just yet, but there'll be an additional download with all the files from these screencasts. So back to this. I selected my SQL file. That's good. Go. And here we go. We have our database set up. It has several different options: ID, title, description, image, and price. And one thing that you'll notice when you actually run the files, so these files are what we're looking at here. If I refresh the page, you'll notice that some of the images that came with these products are missing. So the first thing I want to do is I want to fix that. Just a minor thing, but I thought I'd mention it anyway. So I'm going to go within the HTML folder, and within the public folder, I'm going to create a new folder called images. And I've just saved a couple images here that I'm going to copy. Let's go back, and I'm going to paste into the images folder. And just so you can see it's working, this is Coda, where I have all my files working. So I'll open up the XML file, and I'm going to update these image links. And the correct link that we want is public. Let me just double check that. Public images. Like so. So I've saved the file, and let me just refresh it. There we go. So the images are showing up. Just a minor stylistic thing I thought I'd add in there. So we have our database set up, but obviously our files are still all referencing the XML file. So let's go ahead and start working on modifying the code. So let me go back to Coda. I'm going to close out the store.xml file. And the main changes we're going to want to make are within the functions and the templates.php files. So let's go ahead and let's start working with the functions first. So the first thing we want to do up at the top of this file is we want to start a connection to the database. So I'm going to start out with a couple general variables, and I'm going to set up our connection. And obviously keep in mind that these exact settings may change depending on your computer and how you've set things up. You may need to change the username and password, and potentially change the database name if you've created your database and named it something different. So let's actually create the mysql connection itself. And we're going to pass in the server, the user, the pass, and the database. Okay, so that's the first step. I'm going to go ahead and save this file, refresh this page, and just make sure everything's working. Looks like everything else should be good. There we go. So we have been getting valid connection to database, and the next step will be to modify some of our functions.